Well, Gary, well, first of all, I'm sending you emails. You keep sending me replies to public videos. We can have this in public. I think that'll make it more difficult to get through, but then again, if we get through it, it might be more robust at the end. So I'm okay with that, so let's just do it that way. But I do think that to get things done, at some point we would have to have another channel, because for one thing, like if you're going to mix together the fact that I chose at one point to bring up Elon Musk like it's a big deal, and mix that up with the business stuff, it's just not going to work, because that's like whimsical. I didn't even look into Elon Musk for years because I hate PayPal, but I don't hate Tesla Motors, and I don't hate SpaceX, and I don't hate Solar City. So that's my free choice. And the thing is, I mean, I've been saying I wanted to figure out a way to do this as a co-op right away, to facilitate this public conversation. So if you come along, and I did all this research, you know, and you come along and go, well, we just, you know, I'll buy a machine. We won't have to pussyfoot around. We won't have to worry about that right off the bat. Okay. That makes you an owner. You've used your capital to buy an asset that you then own. And you can say you want to break even, but if you really strictly try to break even, how you know you're not going to subsidize it? You have to have a little bit of a margin. And then it also seems like, I mean, I guess we do have a misunderstanding about the $1 a month thing. That's what I've been, you know, I've spent hours in bitrate calculators for flash streaming and on, trying to figure out if this was possible for me, for, you know, someone averaging a video a day, trying to put up a video with my kind of audience, you know. So I have to have something to work from. Now I think that can be compatible. It ought to cost $1 a month in some typical case. Is compatible with your idea of charging exactly for the resources, but I've tried to explain two things to you. I mean, one, I'm not writing that system. What's going to turn the access log of the computer into this charge accounting log? You need to make some database tables and keep track of all of that stuff. I don't want to do that. That's an overhead for me. That's labor. That's months of labor to make a system like that. And then two, let's say, you know, we're going to pay for the first year of the machine, but, you know, let's say we have 50 users and they pay for their bandwidth. Well, we have to buy a whole machine. We can't just buy a fraction of the machine that they needed. We're paying the whole machine. So don't you understand? We pay the internet service provider a flat rate to use up to a certain amount of bandwidth. So if you want to charge people exactly what it costs, you need to take the machine, figure out how it was used. Whoever used it more, they pay the bigger percentage of what is going to be a flat cost to host the machine somewhere. Okay, I also need to make clear that, I mean, we've all had our website ideas in time, and a lot of us have had this, you know, a video site. I've seen a lot of people indexing sites. I've seen you indexing sites. I see Fred totally into that approach. I told him I think there is a role for that approach, that we still need this video server, which you seem to agree to me. But I have spent hours calculating these things, seeing what was needed to be done, and this is an idea I have. I'm not just for hire. Somebody can't just buy me a machine and I give labor for free to do what they want. We have to agree. You were going to write up an agreement, and you were confident it would be super clear. So, you know, that hasn't happened. No hurry. That's fine. But, I mean, think about that when you talk about why are we having to re-agree things every 2 weeks. It's because we haven't finalized our agreement, and there's certain things that you can have whatever impression you want, but they're just reality. Like, who is going to write the system that keeps track of the accounting the way you want? I'm not. I want to get a machine that costs a certain amount and enough people together. My approach is like, if you get a machine that costs a couple $100 a month to keep going, then it has to be good enough to serve at least a couple hundred people. And I'm trying to do my estimations so that, to the degree I'm wrong, I'll be underestimating, and it'll support a lot more people. And when I say support 200 people, I mean, you know, their audience of 200 each or whatever per video as well. Now, if people go over that and get really popular, I mean, I agree with your idea. Let's have some sort of a metering system. But even then, that doesn't mean it'll be as detailed as you want, because that kind of thing doesn't just magically create itself. You have to create a system like that. It's far easier just to create tiers, do the kind of estimates that I do to figure out what will probably work and make sure you estimate enough so that you can afford your bottom line equipment costs and things like bandwidth. So what I'm in for, what will take enough hours of mine, is setting up a ClipBucket server, right, that can stream video itself and upload in a couple additions so we can do that sort of thing. And some additions so that we can plug into it as easily as need be. If ClipBucket isn't helpful, we'll go in there and change it so that it can serve up for these secondary site ideas. And that's it. I'm not on board for taking 6 months and writing the, pay for what you use exactly. Why do you think they do this flat rate stuff? The internet's kind of, that's the whole net neutrality, is there's a sort of a flat rate instrument to it. Even though you do pay for larger amounts of bandwidth, you do it in these thresholds, and so it's easier to do the accounting that way and to, but I'm not spending 6 months to write, even though I agree that it'd be a neat system. Who's going to write that? You. So what are we going to do in the meanwhile? So we might have the cart before the horse, because there really should be some sort of an organization. And it'd be great to have an angel investor that gets the organization going for a year. But I think you'll want to have you're going to want to have it all designed and defined. Especially you, because otherwise you're just a big fat cat capitalist owning a website, and you'll hate yourself. So, my position is that I proposed this to the community. It's still been proposed to the community. I appreciate that you are one of the more motivated people, as am I, and I think that's reason enough to consider, well, it could possibly be done if started with a partnership of two. But we're going to have to figure out these details. I'm using as a calculation, as a price point, that I would like my kind of video making to be doable for $1 a month. It's just, you have to make some assumptions and get some bounding conditions when you're trying to figure this stuff out. On the other hand, I've done that, can afford the machine in the range that I said, and the bandwidth. I'm pretty sure that it'll support more people than we even think. So that's fine, but what am I supposed to do? Stop and make your dream metering system? Well, it doesn't further my goals. Okay, so I would like to have a system like that. If you find, configure, want to install one, then that could be a labor contribution of yours or something. My labor contribution for this particular server is getting it up, keeping it running as a ClipBucket server and an HTTP streaming server. And I don't want to invent a new kind of metric system. I don't want to become an expert in a metric system. That is not the primary purpose of my goal. I have never stopped talking about, we both want there to be no advertising. I consider that a big agreement with you and me. Who knows, it's not big enough, I guess. But I don't want it to be funded by advertising. It means the members have to pay. You say they should have to pay exactly what they use, and there's these problems of, well, there's a whole machine. Our users are going to use a fraction of the machine, right? And if they're using the machine when they max the machine out, the machine is not going to be performing well. It's going to be glitchy, and they won't want to pay full price for that kind of performance, but you will have used your CPU and bandwidth, right? So it's always going to be a subset of the resources that are used, and you have to pay for the whole set. So you just divide it out and all this stuff. Fine, it's a system. Somebody has to invent. All right, you can't just assume it. And you know, and it's similar with ownership. You know, a not-for-profit, the legal system is, you know enough, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but the legal system is going to look at an entity as though it has a controlling authority, aka an owner. And in a not-for-profit, those are nice words, but they have a controlling entity. It's the board, and they can't be paid. So we might have to come up with a philosophical model and then implement it. It's just like if we had a software idea, and then we have to go to the languages that are actually out there, not the ideal language we'd love to have for that particular project, but the languages that are out there, and figure how can we implement this, you know, as a not-for-profit? How can we implement this as a limited partnership with a certain kind of set of bylaws? How can we implement this at all? And then choose among the actual options. Okay. So, finally, I'll agree. You know, this is, I have things that I have kept working on and that are interesting projects for me, like the debate site. That's what I want to work on. To do this is because it facilitates, and I'm just thinking, hey, maybe I should contribute my ability to do it because of all the people I'd like to talk to that are running into this problem. So one thing I agree about is how much energy is there out there to support something like this. That's why I want to go back to an earlier part of the idea where we see about getting people involved. You know, even if it's just people that are going to commit to using it or something, but I think it'd be better if they were committed resources in terms of worked on it or help, you know, buy equipment for it. Because I want to know. The point is to do this. I can work on my secondary sites using YouTube until such a site as we want to create comes along on its own. But I'm not really sure that it's going to. All the people that are just mining for profit, I mean, there is a sustainable community here, but it's not the mother lode compared to the next eBay or YouTube or whatever. So, yeah, I would like to gauge what the involvement is, because I see myself as willing to do this to help facilitate something we as a community want, and kind of important to make sure the community wants it. On the other hand, I think the community, you know, does want it. It's a matter of, well, does that want translate into supporting it so that it could be sustained? And also people kind of on the edge of knowing that this is what they need and trusting that we'll do it a way that'll be useful, and then marketing it to them. And these things, all of these would be better with a group of people with differing skills. So yeah, on the other hand, I do tend to think it's kind of ripe. I see a lot of people going for this kind of thing and not having the right skill set, and they're going to waste money trying to do it the amazingly wrongest way. And so yeah, one way or another, I would definitely like to collect get $5,000 to $7,000 together for a year of a system, and it has a year to become sustainable. So anyway, all right, well, I'm sure we'll talk about this. I really wish other people would join in the conversation. People complain to me even about this and about the Gary problem of, well, if Gary's involved, but who else? Does anybody else want to? Yeah, I appreciate, Gary and I at least appreciate that we value that this conversation can go on the various ways it does, and with some improvements, so other people could speak up, and I would be nice if other people would join the conversation. It's not going to hurt my feelings. I mean, if when I did the math and found out, it's going to be too expensive, it was a little bit of like, oh, well, I don't have to worry about setting a project up for my, I'm conscious when I commit time, and this is a time commitment I want to do only because it's useful. This isn't my dream come true. I'm not making some amazing tool. We're just talking about doing a standard engineering thing to put up something that we all need, which to other people might not be so standard, might be a bit tricky. So anyway, cheers. Talk to you guys later. You later, Gary. Bye.